history has just been made. Because what Yiheng just did wasn't just a breakthrough, but it was almost nearly the breakthrough. A single lockup, a momentary pause in PLL, was all that stood between him and a barrier that's been standing since the dawn of time. But that was only one of the two groundbreaking moments that happened on Sunday. Because after 5 long years, we've just witnessed something that we thought might never be repeated again. Yeah. And I bet it's not what you think. Back in 2020, we saw Felix Zemdegs break 3x3 world record average and single and become the second ever person to hold the average and the single at the same time. Now in 2025, 5 years later, this happens. Yiheng gets a 308 single and becomes the third person ever to hold the 3x3 world record average and single at the same time. Back in 2009, Eric Ackerstrikes cemented his name as the first ever person to hold the 3x3 average and single at the same time. Then as cubing got more competitive, Felix Zemdegs emerged as the GOAT, claiming 121 world records. And finally in 2020, holding a 416 world record single and 5.53 world record average at the same time. And that was the only and final time that we'd ever see this level of dominance. Or so we thought. Because skip ahead to 2023, and Yiheng Wang is emerging as one of the best cubers of all time. Not only did he get some of the fastest solves on record, but he also became the only person, besides Xuan Yigang, to get a sub 460 average. As cubing becomes more competitive, the chance of replicating Yiheng's feat is growing slimmer. Yiheng's achievement is a once-in-a-generation moment. One that, with the current level of skill and precision, may never happen again. But here's where it gets even more insane, because this could have been so much more. Yiheng was just one lockup away from history. You see, on his final 5 moves, something that would have changed the entire cubing landscape happened. As he flew through a solve, everything was falling into place. Cross, instant. F2L, near perfect. OLL skip. And then he came to the final step. PLL. Just a U-perm, one of the simplest PLL algorithms, stood between him and his name in the history books. He went for it, turning out lightning speed. But in those final moves, disaster struck. A slight misalignment, a lockup, a brief moment of hesitation was just enough to cost him a time that he needed. If his execution had been a hair smoother, if those last turns had flowed perfectly, we wouldn't just be talking about a world record. We'd be talking about the single greatest solve in cubing history. The moment that would have left the entire community in shock. Even with that lockup, his solve was still incredible. His cross and F2L were flawless, his look ahead seamless, and his execution on point. The fact that he came so close to something once thought impossible just shows how dominant Yiheng is right now. A 308 isn't just fast, it's a statement. It shows that cubing limits are still being pushed, and even with a single mistake, it isn't enough to stop history from being made. And if this solve tells us anything, it's that Yiheng Wang isn't finished yet.